Fast food is an obvious necessity in all our lives, but it doesn't have to be all briskness and efficiency, which is just as well, because these are not my strong points. The idea here, for me, is food that I love eating, but that doesn't give me a nervous breakdown to cook. I mean, for example, a stir-fry takes hardly any time to cook, but the preparation can seem endless. What I'm after is minimum effort for maximum pleasure in both the cooking and the eating.
A bit late.
It's hard to think of food that's faster to cook than pasta, and my lemon linguini is incredibly fast. There are only a handful of ingredients for the sauce. And what's more, you don't even have to cook them. Now, a big pan of water, an incredibly big pan of water. I'm going to salt it now. I don't salt it before because the water actually comes to the boil faster if it hasn't got salt in it. This is quite a lot of salt, I know, but Italians say that the water you cook pasta in should be as salty as the Mediterranean, which is such a wonderful poetic idea and sort of life, food, culture, everything, all in one. I'm going to add the linguini. I love linguini. I mean, you can use any long pasta, it really wouldn't matter. But the point about this is that it's thicker than spaghetti, but not as wide as tagliatelle. Denser, much meatier, which is perfect for a really light, creamy sauce. You don't feel it's being swamped, you just feel it's just what you want. Well, the water's come straight back to the boil, so the sauce. Eggs, butter, cheese, cream, lemons. Perfect. Very simple, no cooking. Now, I don't want the whites of these, but I find it much easier just to separate the eggs, cradling them from one hand to the other, rather than in the shell, which most people do, because then I just pierce at the yolk. If you're squeamish, I wouldn't advise it, but if you're not, I'm not, then it's fine. Other wonderful feeling as it goes through your fingers. The reason I'm beating it like this is because I really want it to get a bit sort of frothier and richer and all to bring out this, to emulsify almost, I suppose, like I was making mayonnaise. But it's nothing as complicated as that. And to aid this, some cheese. I don't think you don't need to measure this, just grate in as much as you want. Cream. Now, I'm not adding too much. Just enough to make the sauce kind of swathe the pasta rather than drown it. It's rich, but it's delicate, which is the best combination. Now, my favourite bit, the lemon. I love the way when you zest lemons, you can smell it as you do it. I use a lot of the zest because I think that's the best part of the flavour, better even than the juice. Now, again, really add as much or as little lemon juice as you like. I think just half a lemon is fine. I sometimes do put a whole lemon in, but, you know, these are quite large lemons, and anyway, taste it, you know, and if you want more lemon, add more lemon. And if you've over-lemoned, just add a bit more cheese and a bit more cream. So fragrant, so comforting. I haven't added any salt because I think the Parmesan is quite salty enough. And no pepper for a very good reason. This is harmonious, calm, voluptuous and creamy. I think pepper would interrupt that. Suddenly you get this speck of sharp pepper. That's not what I want. So I've drained it. Now I'm putting butter on because the butter shouldn't stop the sauce from clinging to it. In fact, it should almost seem to meld more with the sauce in a minute. But the really important thing is that you don't do this on the heat, because what you don't want is kind of lemony scrambled eggs. You want a really gooey, unctuous sauce. I'm leaving some sauce back because I want to pour some on once it's in the bowl. Well, I mean, that's it. And how fast is that? I mean, it's the sort of food you can really, really make when you're so stressed out. That's the idea of cooking, makes you want to shriek. And it smells so wonderful. It smells like the lemon groves of Amalfi or something. But with the cream in it there, it's just that mellowness, which means you just feel like you're eating liquid velvet. And the last bit, which is I just want to put a teeny bit more lemony emulsion. Just pour it on just to coat it so it looks as wonderful as it will taste. Just going to do a final smattering of cheese, just a slight hint, just to pick up the depths in the sauce. And just because I find the freshness just so spring-like with the lemons, some parsley. I mean, this is just the quick way, and I quite like having the parsley rather big, like it's another ingredient, not just a decoration. Not just because I'm lazy.
It was prawns and then the buffet.
All right. This is the Exhausted Mother's Tea Time Special. Jar of tomato sauce, water, and rice. And what this makes is a really lovely thick tomato and rice soup. Takes 10 minutes if you use basmati, and you don't do anything. That's me. Cheese on yours, Curtis?
Yeah, a little bit. All the cheese in it.
When I'm really pressed for time, it's the shopping I just can't cope with. So I fill up my deep freeze with all the regular building blocks for my favourite fast food recipes. Bacon, which I freeze in pairs because it makes the defrosting very, very quick. And bacon is such a good way of giving instant flavour to food. And anyway, I can never be more than 2 minutes away from a bacon sandwich. Pancetta, which is Italian bacon, incredibly useful in cooking. And it's not that easy to get. So it makes sense when you do get it to stash it away in lots of different pieces so you can just bring it out and not have to go shopping every time you need it. Meat and marinades. This is so useful. If you marinade meat before you freeze it, it will start marinating really well when you stick it in the deep freeze, and then it seems to kind of doubly tenderize it as it's thawing. This is beef in chili and soy, and chicken with lemon and garlic, I think, and olive oil. So you take it out in the morning, you get back in the evening, and your meat is both thawed and beautifully tender. Peas, how could I leave this out? This is such a useful ingredient. I don't mean just like, making peas, we all know about making peas, but as an ingredient in cooking, you can use it in so many ways. But for me, most importantly, it's my upmarket mushy peas. And with my mushy peas, it has to be salmon fillets fried with bacon. I love all fish with bacon fat. Just think it just gives something. Maybe it's the hint of the far-off sea. Although where salmon comes from, I suspect is not the sea, but then I'm a city girl. I'm not expected to know these things. My skill lies in eating. And of course, the longer it cooks, this bacon, the more those wonderful sort of salt, sweety juices will go into the fat and give off fat, which is why I've used streaky bacon, not bat bacon. Now, this bacon is really crisp now, which is just how I want it, so that it's almost crunchy against that oily softness of the fish. And again, a contrast with the sweet, almost moussiness of my mushy peas. What I've got in here are some garlic cloves. The benefit of putting them in the water to start off with, before I even cook the peas, is one, it cuts the sharpness of the garlic, making it sweet and mellow, and skins come off much more easily than if you were just peeling them from scratch. So the idea, take the skins off, plonk them back in, throw in the peas, and just cook them for a few minutes, 3 minutes or so, and then the peas are ready, and then blitz them all. I couldn't live without frozen peas in my deep freeze. I think the snobbery against them is ridiculous because unless you've got peas in your own garden, there's no advantage in using fresh because by the time you buy them, they've all gone to starch anyway, so really I think it is better to use frozen ones. This salmon will need about 4 minutes, 1 minute on the first side and then 3 minutes on the other side just to get lovely and golden and seared. And then I'll just put them on one side while the peas, my lovely petit pois, get turned into mushy peas. Heaven on the plate. That's the idea. Right, now for a bit of blitzing. My Jean-Paul Gaultier. Creme fraiche. Don't have to use creme fraiche, but I like the slight sourness because peas are very, very sweet. Butter. Yum. Pepper. Salt. Not much. I might add more if I need it later. And we're off. That's it. So all I have to do now is add this to the salmon. You'll see how beautiful the green of the peas looks against that corally pink of the salmon. I mean, I don't go in for picture book presentation, as you might have noticed, but I love just the beautiful colours of food. Oh, that sounds terrible, but I do. Yum, yum, yum. All you need is a fork. You can eat this in front of the television. I think of my store cupboard really as a kind of working partner to my deep freeze, by which I mean I keep things in here that save me from having to go shopping if friends are coming around for supper midweek. Now, 3 ideas for really fast improvised puddings. You keep a tub of vanilla ice cream in your deep freeze, sultanas in rum. They're so good and you can imagine how easy these are to make. And I speak as someone who loathes bought rum and raisin ice cream, so when I say these are delicious, you've got to believe me. Stem ginger. I kind of love this stuff. Something very evocative about it. You eat vanilla ice cream with this, you feel like you're having something off the pudding trolley from some provincial 1950s seaside hotel, only it's better. And my favourite. This is coffee. So what you do is you make a really strong mug of coffee. You have your bowl full of vanilla ice cream, cold, 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 and you pour over a cup of hot espresso. And this makes what the Italians call affogato, which means drowned. So good. And, I mean, could it be easier? Can you just put the bottom one on top for me a minute? And then the lights just go here. God, you've got a really wide hole sieve. Oh, I apologise.
Actually, it's rather wonderful when it runs out.
Yeah. Go. Okay.
Sorry, I feel like I'm in one of those really awful, bad English porn films of the 70s. Actually, it's very nice. You know how it is when you've invited your friends over for supper in the middle of the week, think, what a great idea. And then, as the day dawns, you really begin to panic and how you're going to do the shopping, cooking, the lot. I have an answer, because we've all been there, and it's this. A simple 2-course supper you can get on the table, really, within half an hour or so of getting back from work. Chicken with couscous and really divinely gooey chocolate puddings. I find it easier to start with a pudding first. I can just get it out of the way and forget about it.
And what I've got here is 125 grams of butter. I'm being precise because with baking you do really need to be precise. It's different from just a stew or something. And same weight of really good dark chocolate. Then all I'm going to do is stroll over to the microwave and melt them. And the microwave is the best and fastest way to melt chocolate. 2 minutes at medium should do it. That's it. While the chocolate and butter are melting, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar to 3 eggs I've already stuck in here. And 3 tablespoonfuls of flour. 1, 2, 3. And just stir this till all the ingredients are combined, and that's all. Great, that's melted perfectly. All I'm going to do is add the egg mixture to the chocolate mixture. And then just pour into 4 buttered ramekins. It does need 10 minutes in a hot oven to cook, so I'm not going to put it in the oven until we've more or less finished eating the chicken, which is just so easy. Stash these away until you need them. And then on with the main course, griddled chicken with herb spike yoghurt and couscous. Chicken portions can be a bit tough unless you marinate them, and the lemon is particularly good because the acidity breaks down some of the fibres of the meat. Just a bit of oil. And my favourite bit, just squish it round in here and really kind of bash it round. And this, get rid of the day's stresses. It's better to do that before your guests come. And that's it. You know, 5 minutes will do, 10 minutes is better, but either. Well, in a few minutes, while the chicken's marinating, I'm just going to get on with making a sauce. Now, when I'm up against it, well, one thing I don't want to do is start faffing about with a sort of proper cooked sauce. So what I'm going to do is this lovely Greek yoghurt sauce with chilli, spring onions and herbs. And when I say Greek yoghurt, I do mean Greek yoghurt, because if you use one of those natural low-fat yoghurts, it'll be so thin and mean. To be frank, just don't bother with the sauce at all. You can use bio at a pinch. Now, into my yoghurt, I'm going to add a couple of spring onions, some coriander. It's like a drug, it's so strong. Mint. And I'm just going to chop the herbs, and I'm using my mezzaluna, so named because it's the Italian word for half moon, and this blade is, broadly speaking, a half moon shape, and I love this. It is incredibly useful, but I like it because I'm actually incredibly clumsy, and this makes me feel like one of those kind of super competent people. And a couple of cloves of garlic. Now I'm going to lean on the garlic, my considerable body weight. Now, chilli. Trust me, I'm not a doctor. The reason I'm wearing these for my de-seeding operation is because it's the best way, if unglamorous, I can think of stopping myself burning my face or my eyes later. I am now showering the whole of the kitchen with seeds. Luckily I don't have a dog. Actually, I do have a dog. Dog's away, though. If you want to, I mean, if you like this really hot, leave the seeds in. But I think only do that if you're dining with someone you are intimate with. And now I'm going to disrobe, de-rubber, and just fold everything in. So That's it, more or less. Let me just... Lovely. Now the chicken's had its 10 minutes marinating, and I'm just going to whack it on this grill. No oil, because there's oil in the meat, of course. Luckily, I might be able to squeeze this one here. Yep. So now, while the chicken's cooking, really 5 minutes aside or so, I am going to get on with the couscous, which is so much simpler than you might think. No steaming involved. I'm just going to pour out about, I don't know, half a litre of water, just hot from the kettle. And then some chicken stock. You can use cubes, but I love this liquid stuff because it melts down very quickly and it tastes fab. This is so simple. You shake out some couscous, which may not look like a lot, but couscous swells, and that's really the wonder of it. Some chickpeas. I just drained the water out over the sink. And then, just pour over this. Oh, perfect. I mean, cover the couscous by about 2 to 3 centimetres, inch in old money. I'm just going to put this glass on top of that, and frankly, that's all I'm going to do.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Do we need?
Chicken should be ready for turning now, so absolutely perfect. Look at that golden stripiness. Gorgeous. I think they'll need about another 4 minutes, that's all. This grill is so hot. And if you don't have a griddle, well, just use either a frying pan or an ordinary grill inside the oven.
Nothing. You just sat on the floor and ate all this food.
Yes, thank you. I hate neat and mimsy food, so I'm just going to have the plate tumbled with lemons.
Here we are.
Just a bit of paprika, or a lot of paprika.
You've got one. Oh.
How many dishes do you normally do at once?
Remember that festival you just...
Sorry, it's I know that's John's grandfather's. Yeah, I think it's better with creme fraiche because it's not nice and sour. It's a bit blunt. Home-cooked food should be relaxed and casual. It should reflect our personalities, not our aspirations. Restaurant chefs, they have to innovate to impress the paying customer. But we are under no such obligations. When I invite friends over for supper, I don't want to impress them with my cooking. I want to give them and myself pleasure. When you ask people over to eat, you're not inviting them to some grand ambassadorial event. It's just your kitchen, your friends. I know it can be stressful. I once went to a dinner party given by a friend of mine. Really lovely food. But as the evening progressed, she got more and more hysterical. You know, more and more delicious courses, more and more hysteria. By the time the pudding came, you know, we could hear her sobbing uncontrollably from the kitchen. I mean, no one wants to get an estate like that, however good the food. My way round this is by having, I suppose, something like a Middle Eastern mezze, by which I mean lots of bowlfuls of lovely food all on the table at once. So you're not popping up and down from
table, the kitchen, all evening, getting stressed. Just sitting at the table with your friends, enjoying yourselves, which is what it's about. One of my favourite and regular bits of picky food are string beans with prosciutto. Really delicious and really easy. I've cooked and drained the beans already and cooled them by running them under the cold tap, and now I'm ready for my final assembly. All you need to do to these is get a little bundle, dunk them in balsamic vinegar and wrap them in a bit of Parma ham. It looks fussier than the food I often like, but it does taste so good. I know saying wrap anything in something else sounds terribly shishi and a bit 80s, but really they're not, and you can tell that by the way I do them. The point is to provide a wonderful, abundant table. It doesn't matter what you buy and what you make, and you can zhuzh up bought hummus really well by mixing in some Greek yogurt, maybe an extra squirt of lemon if you think it needs it. The Greek yogurt just gives a wonderful smoothness. Got my bowls. Now, some olive oil. And some toasted pine nuts. By toasted, I mean just fried in a dry frying pan for a few minutes until they go golden and brown. And when they're in season, you can use pomegranate seeds here too, which is very Lebanese and very delicious. Okay, a quick jaunt from the Eastern Mediterranean to Mexico. Guacamole. I love this guacamole. I mean, of course I do, it's the one I make. I've got 6 scooped out avocados here, and now I have some spring onions on top of them, some wonderfully finely chopped green chilli, limes, the crucial edge, most important ingredient after avocados. This reamer means that you get a lot of pulp out from the limes too, which is great here, but you know, use any instrument you want. I'm using the juice of 4 limes here, but you might want to add more, you might want to add less. This is so much a matter of taste. That's great. Now, my tip. Add the salt to the juice in the jug so the salt dissolves, and then you get that wonderful salty intensity spread throughout the guacamole, not just in selected lumps. And mash. Fork's fine. What I want is a soft, chunky texture. I don't want this too finely mushed up. Of course, this makes it lighter work as well. Enough chopping. Now, this is just how I like it. Let me just taste to see if it needs anything else. Perfect. Just coriander. A wonderful leafy blanket of it. Mash some in, leave some on the top, and that is divine. So now, tidy it up a bit. I'm not a great stickler for neatness, but I think a quick wipe down will make it look better. Salads are the only foodstuff I'm a purist about. It has to be a green salad or a red salad. I eat tomatoes. This, you can see, is a green salad. Ivan, can you just put that in?
Lovely.
I think we need to have a word with Ivan.
About
There you go. They sent me
two beautiful.
John is making the most fabulous drink. We kind of live off it during summer. Sweet, fizzy white wine, Moscato d'Asti if you can get it. This is Asti Spumante. It's sort of adapted from a River Cafe recipe with the juice of 5 limes per bottle. It is so wonderful, addictive. You should try it.
I guess I'll have a couple.
is the only last-minute dish, but it's incredibly easy and incredibly quick. Tiger prawns with garlic and chilli. Just warming, sizzling the garlic and chilli. And then tossing in these prawns and just watch as they turn pink. Alchemy. So incredible. Just a splash of white wine, lid on. A few minutes steaming to be cooked, and that is really it.
Each plate will be going to see if you're in. Comes back to top.
Oh, I was in last night, but. Through the window because I'm able to see it.
Here you are. Fantastic.
Do you want me to cut?
Actually, there's some nice juice here. Here's yeah. No, wait, sometimes, but they're quite thick on these.
Yeah, as I do.
Well, cheers, Nigella. Thank you very much.
Coming.
I don't know. I just got the night bus. I just conveniently got up. Thank you.
Everyone seems to love Caesar salad, and when you've got friends around to eat, it is really very adaptable. Obviously, it makes a great starter, but I think it makes a really wonderful light main course too. In place of the usual croutons, I roast sliced small potatoes in garlic-infused olive oil, which is a bit of salt will I get on with the dressing, a couple of eggs, just boiled for a minute, not cooked, just warmed through. And a match. Don't ask me, it's my great aunt's tip. She said that if you put a match into the water when you cook an egg, if the shell cracks, the white doesn't flow into the water. I do what I'm told. Lettuce, lovely cause. The dressing is simple, bit of olive oil, a few drops of Worcester sauce, bit of salt, lemon, I like this bit. Now just toss this so that you've got a kind of wonderful, well, like a thin mayonnaise coating. Obviously, the eggs are not cooked. I mean, 1 minute doesn't cook them, so use eggs that you feel confident about. Wonderful parmesan, quite a bit. You want to taste the cheese. So the last bit of tossing so that everything is mixed and... So a bit of a degunge operation. Final bit of cheese over. A few more potatoes. I do love this. I don't go in for formal dinner parties. Even when I'm having a dinner to mark some really special occasion, I like to keep things simple, which for me means, on the whole, no starter, just main course and pudding. Hello. I need a line of pork. Bye, see you. Now, what I need from you, please, is a kilo of rhubarb.
A kilo of rhubarb on its way. Anything else you're after today, Nigella?
I don't think so. I mean, I know that there will be something that I don't know I've forgotten, but I'll have to come back.
Well, we're here till 6:30.
Making a drop-dead gorgeous pudding doesn't mean attempting something so demanding that you're completely stressed out by it. The key for me is something that can be made in advance. I am mad for jellies. They are incredibly easy to make, and this one is one of my favourites. It's a lovely pink one made out of rhubarb and muscat wine. And the reason why jellies are so easy to make, because of this. Looks like a fairy tale castle window. It is leaf gelatin. So wonderful. Much easier than the powdered sort, which I cannot make work. They just need to be softened in cold water for about 5 minutes, just until they feel like jelly and not stiff anymore. I'm using 10 for this jelly. They come in packets of 8. While the gelatin's softening, I'm going to strain the rhubarb. One of the benefits of poaching rhubarb in the oven is that it holds its shape well and it keeps its colour, which is useful here because I don't want all stringy bits of rhubarb in the liquid. I want a nice clear jelly, and also because I want it as pink as possible. It's a kilo of rhubarb chopped with 350 grams of sugar, zest and juice of 1 orange and half a litre of water. Just cover with foil and cook in a moderate oven for an hour. And although I'm not going to use all the pulp in the jelly, it's incredibly useful. You either just freeze it and use it in tarts or just eat it with custard, or I quite like it eaten with Greek yoghurt for breakfast. I'm going to pour the rest now. So gloriously pink. All natural, no makeup. I'm trying to shake out the maximum amount of juice, but I don't want to push it because then it'll make the jelly cloudy later. I want it jewel bright. For the rest, it's easy. Pour in some muscat wine to make it up to 1.5 litres, and how very satisfying, because that's the whole of this bottle, which is in fact a half bottle. Nothing wasted. Taste, see if I need to add more sugar or anything. It's so good. Like a grown-up version of those rhubarb sweets with custard that I used to eat as a child. Now we're ready for the gelatine stage. But before I do that, I'm just going to pour a bit of liquid out into a saucepan, because it's easier to dissolve the actual gelatin into a small amount of liquid. Put the flame under it just for a bit, because I don't want it boiling just hot. And now, for my favourite bit, squeezing out the gelatin leaves. There's something so curiously satisfying about all that squelching. Oh, how lovely is this? Look. Yeah. Creature from the deep. Right, that's hot enough. So I'm just going to... Oh, lovely. And it's dissolved. The reason I turn the flame off first is that if jelly boils, it goes stringy. A proper jelly needs a proper mould, one with lovely crenellations or castles, something bulging and old-fashioned. You need to oil it first. I know, vegetable oil, almond oil, nothing that will interfere with the taste of the jelly. Just wipe it around with a bit of kitchen towel. If your jelly mould has got a lid, but not all do, remember to oil the lid as well. Just leave to cool slightly before chilling in the fridge. I like to leave a jelly for at least 6 hours, but mostly I just do it the day before, like today. Oh, actually, let me show you my wine slushes. This is red wine, white wine, both frozen. And what I do when we have people around for supper and there's wine left over, you know, in the bottle, but I'm afraid to say it's actually also sometimes in people's glasses, I pour it out into plastic bags and stick it in the deep freeze so that if I ever need just, say, a glass for a stew or something, I don't have to open a whole bottle. And I know that wine snobs will say this is the most atrocious thing you can do, but I'm telling you it works very well indeed. Having a dinner party doesn't mean to say you have to start swinging from the chandelier, culinarily speaking. One of my celebratory regulars is loin of pork with bay leaves.
It's simple, but it's elegant. And when it's finished cooking and it's carved and it's laid out to cover a huge plate, circled with bay leaves, it looks so wonderful and welcoming and abundant. And that's what I always want from food. What I'm really thinking about here is maximum flavour for minimum effort, useful when you're cooking for a lot of people, which is why I'm not even bothering to peel this onion, just slicing it. It's true, the skin will give a lovely golden colour to the gravy later. The real reason I'm not peeling it is just out of laziness rather than to use it as a dye. This is going to go into the pan, but first some lovely garlic infused olive oil. You can use ordinary olive oil with garlic, but this is quicker and it means you don't get any burnt shards of garlic later. Now the onion, my floor of flavour and floor for the pork. On top of that, bay leaves. Lovely fresh bay leaves. Use dried if you can't get fresh. And then this wonderful loin of pork on its little flavour platform. I asked the butcher to give me the bones he'd taken out, and I'm plonking them here because they will give such a wonderful porky flavour to the gravy, and also because I do like to make sure I get my cook's treat. Now the rub, which I love, and it's just more garlic-infused olive oil, peppercorns, and some dried bay leaves, just simply because it's easier to sort of crunch them down. Final touch, some salt, nice coarse salt, beautiful. And that's it, just in a moderately hot oven for about just under 2 hours. An hour and 3/4 is when I'll look at it. This is perfect. Close the oven. It's just that wonderful golden burnish colour, which comes from, in part, these bones, and also because of the onion skin. Let's take the meat and try and strain out these juices without causing major damage. Get every last bit of juice out of the onions. I think of this as gravy, but it's not normal gravy in that I'm not using flour to thicken it. All it is those wonderful oniony pork juices, which I'm going to boil down, and 150 ml of water, and about the same amount of wine. But you don't have to be precise. You can't tell, until I've tasted it, I can't tell what I need more of. Just hope I don't need less of anything. My special tasting spoon. And of course, by letting it boil for a bit, you can also reduce it and make it thicker and slightly more syrupy. Just while I'm waiting for the juices to reduce a bit more, a really spectacularly good part of the whole exercise. My spare ribs. So delicious. Now for my salad. Parsley is the first and major ingredient, and I'm not using the parsley as a herb, but as the main ingredient. You know, I want bulk. Right. Perfect. Second ingredient, red onion. Easiest way to peel that, just take the ends off. Cut in half, take off the skin. And just cut in half moons. Looks beautiful that way. Rain these down. And my third ingredient, capers, really balance these two incredibly well. These have been packed in salt, which does make them
really too salty, so I've been soaking them in water. You can use capers that have been stored in vinegar. They won't be as good as this, but if you can't find salted capers, do not worry. Lovely. These are salty enough. I'm not going to add any more salt. Olive oil. Lemon. Not much lemon. Once you make this salad, you find an excuse to make it over and over again. Not that you need an excuse. Pleasure is reason enough. Carving's not my strong point, so be kind. But what you want are lovely thin slices, which you then pile up in the centre of a huge plate. And then, although I don't normally go in for prinking, what I do is a final Napoleonic flourish, which is a circle of bay leaves all around the piled up pork on the plate. It looks wonderful. A bit of gravy ladled on now will stop the meat drying out if it has to sit for a bit. And if it has to sit for a lot, then just tent it with some tin foil. And then the rest of the gravy you can keep in a sauce boat and people can just help themselves on the table. Dribbling.
Okay, what can I buy for Robert?
Bit. Perfect. Look at that. That wibble wobble. I'm thrilled. I don't think it needs anything else.